out of necessity for survival, you will start to take on the traits of the hunter. Because I mean, you have to eat, you have to have security, you have to have all of those things, right? So, by way of needing to survive, you are going to start becoming more of the hunter. What's up, y'all? It's your girl TYLYNN. So we are back with another one. Listen, there is a tweet that has gone absolutely viral, and we are going to talk about it in this video because listen, don't nobody break it the way we break it, because we break it all the way down. Let's get into it, y'all.
It's a sniper on the roof.
So I don't know if you've seen this tweet, but this tweet says weak men create masculine women and strong men create feminine women. Now, if you notice, it has 23.9 thousand retweets in counting. Okay, that means there are a lot of people who are chiming in on this conversation. And I thought to myself, why not be one of them? Because I have strong thoughts toward this. And in this video, I'm going to break down why I agree with this tweet. So the next thing that I'm about to tell you, I need y'all to just hold it because I'm going to circle back to it. So in biblical times, when a woman was on her menstrual cycle, she was literally separated and isolated in a tent from the rest of society, right? And while she was isolated, she was no longer able to do regular activities or interact with people or just things that she would be able to do on a regular basis. Okay. Like I said, just hold on to that because I'm going to come back to it. So listen, if you ever Google masculine versus feminine characteristics, the first thing that pops up is this journal, right? It's a survey that was completed that was comparing male and female nurses and their feminine and masculine traits, right? So the part that I have highlighted are the examples of what they have found through this survey to be stereotypical masculine and feminine characteristics. So it says examples of stereotypical masculine attributes include independence, aggression, strength, and competitiveness. And it says stereotypical feminine attributes include nurturing, caring, passivity, and subordination. So how do these traits, and mind you, they didn't say anything about love. I know a lot of times people, when they think of love, they like to associate that with femininity, but like love can be expressed in so many different ways. I don't associate it with femininity or masculinity. Like, I mean, there's 7 different love languages, for crying out loud, right? But how do these attributes play into masculinity and femininity? So I think we've all heard of the term hunter gatherer, right? And in case you haven't, what hunter gatherer was, it was the way that societies functioned before agriculture became as big as it was, right? It was where the hunters went out, scouted, planned, and they killed the food, right? They killed the game. And what the gatherers did was they would carry the food home, cook the food, serve it. They would make tools and clothes for the hunters so that they could have even more successful hunts. And as you probably guessed, men were typically hunters and women were typically gatherers. Now, this is not because women were incapable of hunting. As a matter of fact, here, boom. Here's a little bit of research for you here. It says even so, subsequent research has affirmed a simple division of labor among hunter-gatherers. Men mostly hunt and women mostly gather. When anthropologist Carl Ember surveyed 179 societies, she found only 13 in which women participated in hunting. So out of 179, 13 societies had women participating in hunting. Now, like I said, it's not that women didn't hunt because they were incapable human beings. It was just that nature showed that men were best suited, right? So I'm pretty sure we've all taken like human growth and development, and we learned that men produce testosterone and women produce estrogen. Now, technically, everybody produces both. However, men produce mostly testosterone and women produce mostly estrogen, right? And so going back to the beginning when I told y'all to hold that, right? Going back to when I said how when women are on their menstrual cycle, they were separated and they could no longer perform the normal tasks that they did. They couldn't do regular things that they would do on a regular basis while they were on their menstrual cycle. That is called an inhibitor, right? So when Women are on their periods. We literally have hormones in our body that are like fluctuating, almost causing like chemical imbalances, right? That can make it hard to control our emotions, let alone sometimes the pain that comes with it, right? There are some women that when they have cramps, they feel like they can't move or they can't do anything. That is a natural inhibitor, right? That is just in our biological makeup. What else by way of our biological makeup can be an inhibitor that prevents a woman from being able to do a lot of normal activities that she would do? Something like bending over and even tying her shoe. Ding, ding, ding. If you guess pregnancy, you get an A, right? When a woman is pregnant, she is literally her most vulnerable and her most dependent self, right? A woman will literally never be as dependent as she is when she's pregnant, right? Or least independent, I should say. By nature, that is literally an inhibitor. Now, can you guys tell me what natural inhibitor that men have? Like, just by nature in their biological makeup, what inhibitor do men have? I'll wait. Zero. If you guessed zero, you get an A, right? Men literally have no natural inhibitors. Now, that's not to be confused with a prohibitor, right? So when something is prohibiting you, it's an external factor. Inhibitor is an internal factor, right? So like prohibitors are things like if you break your arm or you get a terminal illness, something like that, that can prohibit you from doing what you're supposed to. But I'm talking about by way of literally your biological makeup. Inhibitors, men have none, which means at all times men are able to exude their competitiveness, right? To go out and hunt, to get the food. Men are able to exude their aggression, right? To be able to protect if something is coming forward trying to attack their family. That independence, right? To be able to move around. At all times, a man is supposed to be able to do those things by way of their biological makeup and their nature, right? So it's like when we're talking biologically, men, the testosterone that they have, it is a natural boost to all of those masculine characteristics, right? On top of having zero inhibitors by way of nature. Whereas with women, it's the same thing. Having estrogen is a natural boost to all of those feminine characteristics that I named, right? The nurturing, the caring, all of those things. Imagine if you're a woman and you have a strong hunter, right? You have someone who you know is going to bring home the food. You have someone you know is going to exude that aggression if he ever needs to protect you, your household, your mental, emotional, physical, everything, right? If you had that and you had someone that you could trust that is going to do those things, you as a woman would feel way more safe and comfortable with being able to relax in your feminine nature because you're like, he's got the other things, he can take care of those things, right? Imagine if you are a woman and you have a weak hunter. That's right. If you're a woman and you have a weak hunter, you have someone who is not necessarily making it their business to make sure that they can go out and get the food, make sure that they can provide security, making sure that they can protect your family, lead your family well. Imagine if you have a weak hunter by way of survival, right? Because everything in our nature is like literally driven towards survival. That's just in our nature. If you have a weak hunter and you are starting to question your survival, right? And I know that sounds dramatic, but you got to track with me here. Out of necessity for survival, you will start to take on the traits of the hunter because I mean, you have to eat, you have to have security, you have to have all of those things, right? So, by way of needing to survive, you are going to start becoming more of the hunter. So the roles will start to get blurred, right? And those lines will start to essentially erase and the roles will become ambiguous, right? Now, some households work like this. And that's totally fine, right? You have it where the woman is out there just straight up boss babe, making the money, and then you have like the house husbands, right? The stay-at-home dads, and that's totally fine. But none of it takes away from the fact that like when the roles lack clear concise definition and expectations, that they will start to become ambiguous, which means that women will start to become more independent as opposed to interdependent. Now, that's not to be confused with dependent, because I know the girls love to tussle, and I know that when women hear dependent, they get all, I don't got to depend on nobody, I'm whatever, which I think it's good to assess why something like that even triggers you, right? But I mean interdependent. So that is when like two or more things depend on each other equally, right? So that means you have your role, I have my role, and our roles depend on each other to be like the most successful, right? And that distinctness in the roles literally makes them fit together like a puzzle piece. If you don't believe me here, just think of another example. So let's just get away from this for a second, right? Because I know for some people this can get them a little riled up. Think about something like let's just say a single parent, right? Single parent and their kids. They have this saying that says the oldest child becomes the second parent, right? When there's a single parent. And they say that because if there's a single parent, they're working, right? They're trying to take care of things. They probably at some point are going to need some help. So what happens is the older sibling starts getting assigned parental roles to the younger siblings, right? Go walk your sibling to school. Can you make some food for your sibling? Can you do your sibling's hair, right? They start getting assigned the roles that the absent parent is supposed to have. And so then it becomes no surprise why, when that kid is 14 and 15, they are doing adult things. They're having sex, they're drinking, they're doing all of these things, right? Because the roles have already been made ambiguous, right? This child has already been put into adult roles. So it's like, then how would you not expect them to act like an adult? Exact same thing goes for this. If a man is not acting in his nature, in the way that God created him to be, then the woman that he pairs himself with will not feel comfortable or safe enough to operate in her nature, in the way that God created her to be. Therefore, you have more masculine women, more feminine men. Simple as that. Let me know y'all thoughts in the comments, man. If you agree, you disagree, we could dialogue about it. It really don't make me any difference. I love being able to break these kind of things down when I come across them. And until the next video, God bless y'all. I'm out. Peace.
It's a sniper on the roof.